Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team video, where today I'm going over the early preview I had with Games Workshop, and they basically told me about the future of Kill Team. But before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Did you find it useful? And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out in the episode description below for free, an affiliate link at Element Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support as well. But let's get on with the video. So just a disclaimer up first. Obviously, this is going to have some bias, whether like unintentional or intentional, because Games Workshop did invite me to this special preview event where they talked to me about the future of Kill Team, showing off the new edition, having like this day experience where they, you know, showed me through the whole ins and outs of the new edition. And, you know, they did provide me free food and drink, which I was greatly appreciative of because it was while I was in America. So that was very useful there. But obviously, I will still try to be honest, impartial, and constructively critical, as well as remembering what I can talk about, because there's some things I can't, but there's a lot that I can, which will probably be useful in helping kind of bridge the idea of the new edition of Kill Team and why I'm really excited for it. Obviously, I am excited for Kill Team, so that may hamper what I talk about, but I just wanted to get it out of the way first so people didn't feel like it either was never meant up or like never brought up, or it was just kind of like simmering in the background. So with that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So yeah, when I was in America at Nova, I was invited to a special preview seminar which lasted effectively the whole day. It wasn't just me alone in attendance, it wasn't just me one-to-one with Games Workshop asking why, as a playtester, I keep leaking stuff. No, it was me and a lot of other content creators, like Dakota that was there from Squad Games. We had Darcy there, you know, from Darcy Bono and her amazing painting, plus a number of different content creators, which I was really happy to meet, but I don't want to mention until they make their own video, because I don't know if they want to talk about it or not, but I know Darcy and Dakota have, so I'm very happy to talk about that because they were there and they were a lot of fun. But it was a really, really good experience. The first half of the day was basically an introductory experience. Then we had a practice game. Then the second part of the day, we got introduced for like another seminar for the rest of the day. And then we had a joint ops game. So it didn't seem like too much, but it did last effectively 9 till 5. And it was a very thorough yet fun experience. But one of the first things I want to bridge is the app, because they were very clear about the app. And I think the app is probably what people are going to be most interested in at the moment, as it hopefully comes out this week, because I'm posting this video on the Monday and it should be out on the Saturday, hopefully. So the app will basically just be a PDF reader. So it's not really going to track game scores, how you're scoring mid-game, you know, like maybe friends, you know, missions and all of that. It just is a PDF reader, but it is completely free. It's not tied to Warhammer Plus or any sort of premium subscription. It will just let you read all the free rules posted by Games Workshop on Warhammer Community. So you'll be able to look over your factions rules, your opponent's factions rules, and the general core rules. And, you know, it's not the most bedazzling app, but I'm very fine with that because now I will have a permanent access to the rules on my phone and computer legally for free. And they said they have no plans to charge for the app at the moment. Like, it's all going to be free, but it's just a PDF reader. So there's a downside, you know, because you've got a lot of third-party apps which are like integrating the rules, but also scoring, or just the rules, or the scoring separate. So, you know, there's a bit of umming and ahhing there, but I'm happy they've just focused on the rules for now. And as long as it's a functional app, which it should be, I'm happy with it. Would I like some gaming functionality built into the app? Yes, but it's not a priority. My priority is being able to access the rules for free and easily, which you're able to do. So that's a really good win for me there. No real answer if you're upset about not being able to score on the app, although I'm sure there'll still be third-party apps in that regard. But it's nice that the rules will be free. Then bridging onto the rules, Games Workshop were happy to say they do plan for Kill Team all their rules to be free, available to download on Warhammer Community when the rules go up for sale. So I believe that means after pre-order, because I was assuming maybe when pre-orders go up, but it looks like it's matching Age of Sigmar and Warhammer 40,000, where the rules will go up on release day. That should be, well, very close to release day, hopefully, because we haven't hit release day yet, so I'm not sure. But all the rules for your factions and the core rules will be available online for free. The only thing you will always have to pay for is just approved ops, because approved ops will change every year and you will need like all the cards and stuff. So that's the only thing you have to pay. So if you're upset about that, it is a shame, but you're only paying, I think, like £20 a year just to play competitively, which if you're looking at that, especially if you're accessing all the rules for free, in my opinion, isn't too bad, especially as you get the usable cards. And obviously, I think there's a lot of work building the, the approved ops rules into a functional app, especially having it ready for release. I'm sure, once again, third-party apps will be able to do that, but the only things you'll have to buy for Kill Team outside of, your modeling stuff is just approved ops. Everything else will be free, and they've already gone on to say like expansions, especially for solo mode like joint ops, will be released free as well, either via Warhammer Community or even via White Dwarf. There's multiple avenues already, but that's a really good message that I wanted to make clear, because I think that's something people really wanted to know, the apps and how free rules are going to work, because I think that's just really good. It's a very clear separation from how Games Workshop are treating their other game systems, namely like Age of Sigmar and Warhammer 40,000. And it's nice they're kind of really experimenting and pushing it for Kill Team. And if it's a big success, who knows, it could spread into those other game systems they make, which would be really great for everyone as a whole. Next, we come on to Classified, or as I like to call it, Yassified. So Classified Kill Teams actually gave us a big presentation about this. I think it lasted about an hour because there were a lot of questions, but they made it very, very clear, which was really good. They explained the whole process and they had a really nice graphic, which I thought was going to be on Warhammer Community, but when the article came up, it wasn't. But effectively, they broke down what was said in the article, but just a lot clearer. And then they said what they wrote in the article. Well, they were writing an article that would be worded by the design team, because they wanted to make it clear for everyone how Classified wanted to work. So effectively, as I said in the Classified reveal video, teams like released from now will be classified for 3 years, and then they will be removed from their classified list, and then they will be on sale and playable for 3 more years. And then after you've had 6 years with your Kill Team, it will then be removed from the Kill Team range, but will go onto the Warhammer 40,000 range. They've done it in a mixture for store stock, because literally otherwise stock listers have to stock like 60 plus boxes just for Kill Team. But they also wanted to make it a way as easier way to keep range rotation in terms of not having too many teams at once, because otherwise you end up with an impenetrable list of teams that makes it very hard for new players to get into the game. But they are very clear that every team will last 6 years, and they were very open about pushing non-classified events, which they did mention in the article, but people just chose not to read. Like, where we had a few TOs like me and Dakota asked, and they said, look, we're more than happy for you guys to run your events in your own way. It's just a suggestion from us. We don't expect people to run it, and we don't want everyone to run it. That's just what they're going to do for Games Workshop events, where they're going to enforce the classified list, because it just helps people get into entry. You now know you're only going to have a set team of about 30 or 40 teams. You need to remember when you're going to a Games Workshop event, and it's primarily aimed at newer players hopping in either at the start of this new edition or whenever they jump in, so they don't have this huge pool of teams to remember, which I think people are forgetting about. Obviously, people are still very upset about classified systems in general, but even for me, remembering currently, I think we have like 40 teams at the moment, is still a lot. Well, technically it's like 27 now, Compendium's gone, but it's a lot. And then like by the end of this season, it should be 33, but only having to remember 33 at a time for a new player is good. And there are still going to be lots of events that run non-classified events. So for example, I will still run non-classified events. I know Dakota's probably going to run non-classified events. We may be in a scenario where the competitive scene wants classified events, but if you're playing at a Games Workshop event, it'll be classified. And effectively, everything from Season 1 last edition is classified for 1 year. From Season 2, they're classified for 2 years as well. And then from Season 3, I believe they're either classified for 2 or 3 years. I can't fully remember now because of the new graphic they've posted. But an interesting interjection. For 1 year classified teams, they have like 1 year left. I would call those yassified teams because they are classified for 1 year. So that would be all the season 1 teams and everyone from the annual from 2022. So the White Dwarf teams, Elucidian, Star Striders, and Galapox Infected. So all those teams are yassified on the classified list. But they were very clear about that, and that was something that was really nice. They were upset about the leak and how people were pushing it, saying, you know, your team's getting removed. That's not the intention whatsoever, because otherwise, obviously, people are upset that 6 years isn't enough time with their team, but otherwise you end up with a situation like, let's look at Warhammer Underworlds, where you have teams from like 7 years ago that you can't buy, which is still good competitively. So as a new player, you can't buy them and their cards, so you don't have access to their rules, so you can't use them at events without like severely proxying and printing off cards, which events don't allow. And then other game systems, even like Warcry, you can't buy those teams. So you could proxy, but then if you go a new player, oh, this team's really good, but you can't buy it anymore, but you can just build your own models. Isn't really a good barrier entry for people like turning up into stores and stuff, especially if you're new, because I would rather have, you know, the models that you can actually buy, especially if they're a really nice faction that have disappeared. Obviously, people will still be upset at this, and it's not like just me defending them. I've always been a fan of rotation in general, no matter what game system or game I play, and I do completely get the thoughts people have about, like, as if what they pay for should last forever. It will still always last when you're not playing at events. It's just for mainly event play. The next, this is not in order, by the way, it's just what I can remember, is the joint ops system. They were very clear, and within the joint ops system, I know people were upset narrative play lost all the advancements and different things you could get, but Games Workshop are quite clear about the reason why. The problem you had, if you were playing as a new player, you played the light rules, which were almost like the core rules, but a little bit different. Then you had everyone else playing the core rules and approved ops, or just the core rules, and then those people playing approved ops, and then you had the people playing narratively. So the only problem is you had 3 to 4 different ways of playing, all with slight variations. So you weren't actually playing the same game no matter what. And as someone who played a lot of narrative, I actually found the biggest problem with narrative is if you weren't playing in a narrative league, or you weren't actually, you were playing like your first narrative game, and the person you would play and had like this long experience list, their kill team could do crazy things. Like, for example, you could get a Shade Weaver who could dash 4 times and then move and dash. It's like, I understand. It was really fun, but you could build these broken combinations with either relic equipment or advancements to make absolutely monstrous operatives. And now they've clarified it that no matter what game mode you're playing the same rules. So you have, even if you're new, you're a veteran player, or you're playing from a narrative standpoint, you're all using the same rules. You don't have to worry about building a base of operations, tweaking it, remembering how like obscuring works if you're coming from the light rules to the main rules. It's very, very clear. And they were very happy about joint ops and playing either solo mode or co-op, because there's solo mode, there's a lot of avenue to play if you're just playing by yourself, or you just want to gain some experience, because you can technically use solo mode to play by yourself, or co-op mode, which you can really do fun thematic things. It's basically their narrative play, and for co-op mode, they're going to be, and solo mode, they're going to be adding, as I said, more free expansions where they're going to add like different operative types, stuff that wouldn't really make sense or be balanced in normal kill team, but would make complete sense for joint ops. And they also stressed how fun it was to be as a mentoring tool to get people into the game of kill team, because the problem I've had, when you're trying to teach someone, you're either trying to lose to teach them how to play the game, or you're playing very simplified. You're not able to, like, you're working against them even though you're trying to work with them. But with joint ops, you can now play co-op with someone. You both select either one kill team or 2 different kill teams, and you split them in half, giving the other person whatever. You play against non-playable operatives, so MPOs, and then you just play a game. And what you can do is basically tutor them to meet the same goals. Like, okay, I need to reach this point. Can you kill those 2 operatives so I can clearly run for it? Or you need to get to this point. I'm going to go after this operative to stop them so you can get to that point, and we need to push up. And in that way, you can give them like the fun parts of the kill team while you play like the more reserved standard parts, and working together, you can actually teach someone the game. And it's really, really fun. And you can also play it just narratively, like playing narrative missions. And it's really thematic. It's really, really cool. I played this really fun game of Joint Ops with Dakota, where I used my free Nemesis Claw. He used his 7 veteran, well, Deathcore Krieg. And then we played into, let's just say, Joint Ops has a recommendation of wound pools. And we ignored it because we're like, we're veteran players. We've got this. So we ended up playing about 20 Leagues of Votann Halfkin Salvagers, and we barely won. We thought we were going to lose at one point. You know, Games Workshop came around and was like, oh, you know those are supposed to come back alive after you've killed a certain number. We're like, yeah, we're not going to do that. There's too many. We underestimated them, and they're like, yeah, that's a wise move. But it was super, super fun. We did really thematic things. And one thing they stressed when you're playing Joint Ops, either solo mode or co-op mode, you need to play as what's worst for you. So when you're activating these MPOs, you need to do the thing as if you were controlling them. That would be the worst thing for you. Like, you wouldn't play the MPOs just like moving away from the point to stay safe. You would go, actually, if the MPO, just because there's so many of them, it can just like suicidally charge or move up and shoot one of my key operatives and mess them up. You should do that. And it's really, really fun. It's kind of disappointing it wasn't stressed in the core rules or even in the article for playing Joint Ops. But once you get that mentality, it's really, really fun. And I feel they're going to push it when they get more updates for Joint Ops. But Joint Ops is just really, really good, either as a teaching method, practicing by yourself, or just playing narratively. And I think it's just really, really good. Another thing when it comes to the online rules, Games Workshop were also very clear to clarify about the online rules. No matter where it comes to books or in print, the most accurate and up-to-date rules will always be the free rules from Warhammer community. So they will be going back and changing and updating teams, and you have to go with what the website says. So, you know, there's already some errors we've spotted on cards, and I believe there's an early FAQ coming to address all of that, as well as some balance changes, because just in general, remember the balance data slate done about like 6 months ago and either 3 months ago was done way after the new edition went into print. So obviously, because people keep forgetting, you know, Games Workshop just don't go like, yeah, let's just make a new edition. Let's just do that. Everything is done way far in advance. Even if your team drops off the classified list, it will still be updated. So you won't have to worry about, like, let's say, for example, commandos end up being incredibly broken and then get removed from classified. It doesn't just mean Games Workshop are just going to ignore them. They will still get balance changes. So as long as your kill team is still within that 6-year lifespan, your team will still get rules, which is really, really good and helpful. It's just very nice they're following through with that. And obviously digital changes on the Warhammer community site will reflect in the app because the app is reading the rules from Warhammer community. So they were really clear, like they weren't talking about how regular the updates would be. I assume it will still be every 3 months like we do get with current balanced data slates. So we're probably going to get maybe something at like a week after launch that will, you know, change and update some rulings. Like I wouldn't be surprised for some teams. And then we'll probably get a balanced data slate after Worlds, either in December or January. But they were very clear, still going to get regular rules updates. It'll be whatever's on the Warhammer community website will be up to date. Factions will be, you know, edited so they're up to date with the current rulings. And then even if your team drops off the classified list, it will still be updated as long as it's still available to play in that 6-year lifespan, which is really good. It was nice they were clear about that. And it just gives me a lot of hope. They're still focusing for Kill Team to be a competitive game and clearly and readily accessible for everyone and up to date. So everyone's playing the same rules. The other thing I found really interesting during that preview was that Games Workshop were happy to stress that Kill Team is no longer an entry point for Warhammer 40,000. They believe the crossover is still great if Warhammer 40,000 wants to cross over into Kill Team, but if you want to get into 40k, you've got Combat Patrol. They said that's the way into 40k. Kill Team they want to treat as its own unique game, and that's why they've pushed more harder with Joint Ops for solo and co-op mode. Partly why they've removed the compendium as well, because not only does it remove like 30 teams, but they weren't being supported for effectively 2 years anyway, and it was more of an entry point for 40k players. They said now you have the free rules, it's much easier for you to hop into the game and go like, maybe proxy stuff, and then once you had a feel playing either the core rules for free and over a team you like, then you can jump into playing Kill Team, because they want to focus Kill Team as its own core game because it is a core game. And, you know, I really like that. It's really happy to hear when Games Workshop are very keen to stress they consider Kill Team as a really great game, and they want to push it as a dedicated skirmish game instead of being an entry game into other game systems. Like, Kill Team is so good. It's my favorite Games Workshop game, and I still think it's the best game system they make. And the fact they want to follow down that route is really happy for me. Like, it's obviously biasing for me to say this because that's what they were just saying what I want, but it's good that they're saying it without prompting. I didn't ask them. That's what they said. And it's just really good to hear. It really gives me hope for the future of Kill Team. They said they have a long plan of supporting Kill Team, as we can see, you know, like at the World Championships of Warhammer and via other avenues. So it just gave me a lot of hope, and, you know, it's fine. It may be finally the people who keep saying Kill Team is a specialist game will stop. And then one last important thing, I did ask about the equipment because there were 3 different things. You know, you've got the core 3 things to play, then you've got, you know, your upgrades, your competitive approved ops, and then, you know, other add-on. But for the equipment, I asked how long they expect it to last for. Will we see more? Will equipment change every year? And the Games Workshop were clear to stress to me that equipment will last for 3 years. So it will probably change when we get a new edition, but for at least this edition, they don't see it changing. You know, there may be like some add-ons for maybe like game systems in the future. You know, the kill zone will change every year when we get a new season. So we'll have Volkers this year, and then we'll go into other kill zones as the seasons go on. But equipment will be static, and the game is designed around those universal equipment choices lasting for 3 years, which is really, really good, because I'm actually finding currently a lot of interesting experimentation with the equipment. And one thing I was originally worried about is that it only lasts for a year. So like, you know, maybe 1 year you're using this equipment pool and then you change it for the next year. But they were like, no, it is for 3 years. So I know it does cost a lot. I think it's about £28 directly from Games Workshop. You know, it's easy if you get it from a third-party store that does a discount. But it's really good to hear that your investment will last 3 years, and the fact that they're planning the game around it, because from what I can see so far, the implementation and use of universal equipment is actually very good and straightforward, and it's really interesting how I've experimented with it. As I said, I found a lot of usage out of universal equipment for Beta Decima. It makes Beta Decima super playable, and with the heavy barricades, if we've got badly designed kill zone layouts, the heavy barricade keeps you safe. You've got smoke grenades if you want to stage up more, stun grenades to deal with specific teams. You know, you can either take 2 frag, 2 crack. Portable barricades can actually be very situationally useful depending on your team, and that's really good. So they only said that part, and this is just me talking about my experience with universal equipment. It's just really interesting, and there's sometimes where I take 2 or 3 pieces of universal equipment, either based on the kill zone or just what I can do specifically into that opponent, which is really fun. So for my special preview overview, the first thing is that the apps will be free. There's no subscription. It's not tied to Warhammer Plus. It's absolutely free, but it's just a PDF reader. So we'll only have the rules for kill teams and the core rules. The only thing you will have to pay for is approved ops. So, because, you know, you have to pay for approved ops every year. But other than that, all the rules will be freely available from Games Workshop. They were key to stress the importance of solo mode and co-op mode and joint ops, how it's a useful tool for playing narratively or introing people to the game, as well as just, you know, playing games by yourself, and that they plan to regularly update it for free, either via, you know, your dossiers or via like Warhammer Community or probably White Dwarf. And it's something they plan to support throughout the edition as they add more different profiles. Classified teams are very clear about, you know, every team has 6 years, 3 years on the classified list from now, unless it's released earlier. And they were actually, as I said, openly encouraging people to run their own events that weren't following the classified list. The reason they made classified was to help stock listers, but also to help new people join into the game, so you didn't have an impenetrable list of like 80 kill teams to learn and worry about or try to track and find and buy. Then they also said the Warhammer community website, the online rules will be the most accurate source of rules. So when you've got like the dossiers and the cards, what will be up to date and what they will follow is always the PDF rules, which is really, really good. And those will be updated as per balance changes as well. We saw that with Intercession throughout the last edition. So that's what we expect, which would be really, really good. And then Universal equipment will last for 3 years. That will last throughout the edition, and that they've designed effectively the game around it in general. And then I've just found Universal equipment really, really good. It's really, really fun. It's helped a lot of bad kill zones, as I said, Beta Decima. It really helps balance out the Season 1 edition, 2nd edition kill zones, like Octarius, you know, with heavy barricades and stuff. But overall, and then they were also key to stress Kill Team as its own game system now. It's no longer just something to try and get you into Warhammer 40,000. It's its own competitive, tight skirmish game that they want to focus and support by itself, which always really good news. There was a lot of stuff that happened that I either didn't think worth mentioning or was being covered by other content creators. As I said, Dakota did a really good video of it, as well as Goonhammer, because they went to the UK one. I went to the American one because obviously I'm a true American. You know, everyone in America will attest to that. So, you know, there was multiple ways to go. And obviously, you know, Games Workshop did invite me. I was with other content creators and they gave me free food and drink and, you know, all this stuff. And I do love Kill Team. So obviously there is some bias there. But generally, I was quite impressed, and they were quite honest. There were a lot of brutal questions there, you know, very upfront and frank questions in a good way, and they were happy to answer that. And it was just very good. They presented it really well, and you know, it was just really fun. Hopefully they do it more for other game systems, because if there was like mostly Kill Team content creators there, but there were other, you know, Warhammer content creators. So if they do that for other game systems, I think that would be really cool. Like, you know, like if they relaunched Warcry, I think they did it for Age of Sigmar, you know, other game systems. It's just a nice thing. And it was really cool they allowed us to talk about it. So it was just fun. And I hope it was useful to you in a way that doesn't come across as me just gushing that, you know, they were told. I'm really happy for the new edition. Like, I'm openly like, you should play the new edition. If you haven't bought the new edition and you're still confused, buy it now. But I'm not biased. I just love this game. So hopefully that was a good watch. You know, it's difficult because I can't talk about everything, but I was allowed to talk about most things. So hopefully you found it useful. But that's pretty much it from me today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you think. Did you find this video helpful at all? Or did you, like, what do you think about what Games Workshop said about Kill Team? Are you as happy as I am that they really want to push Kill Team and are happy to support it all the way? Because I am. And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, an affiliate link at Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. And I'll quickly shout out my patrons. So for my adepts of the crit, I have Tom, Supercow, Steven, Sam, Nick, Mercenary Q, Mr. Meatwad, Lucas, John Thomas, Graham, Fangzu, Dave Meatswell, Dad of Goldens, Chris, and then for my veterans of the crit, I have Samja and Ryan. So thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to me and helps support the channel. But yeah, this is video 1 for Monday. I have a new video tomorrow on Tuesday, which will be my first battle report of Hivestorm. And then we continue the daily drip of content. I'm actually really excited because this is the first time I have actually done a full week of content. 7 days of Kill Team content on YouTube, not just from Monday to Friday. But I really, you know I've had a lot of new subscribers and viewers, so I really appreciate it, and I hope you're finding my content useful and helpful, because that's why I'm here and why I do it, to help all of you guys. But remember, no matter what happens with the future of Kill Team, you always have a chance to win and play, as long as you can roll a crit.